She answered a call in her car. The bank said her husband was there with her doppelgänger. When Sarah Martinez receives an urgent call from her bank's fraud department, she expects a simple credit card issue. Instead, she's told her husband is currently at the branch with her, trying to drain their life savings. But Sarah is alone in her car, 20 miles away. Someone has stolen her identity so perfectly that even bank employees can't tell the difference. What follows is a desperate race against time to stop the theft, catch the criminals, and uncover a sophisticated identity fraud ring that's been targeting her family for months. Sarah Martinez was stuck in Seattle traffic when her phone rang. The dashboard display showed unknown number, which she normally would have ignored, but something made her answer. Maybe it was intuition. Maybe it was just boredom from sitting motionless on I-5 for the last 15 minutes. Hello, Mrs. Martinez. This is Jessica from the fraud department at Pacific Northwest Bank. I need to verify some unusual activity on your account immediately. Sarah's stomach tightened. Fraud calls were always scary, but this one felt different. The woman's voice was professional, urgent but not panicked. What kind of activity? I'm showing that you're currently at our downtown Seattle branch with your husband, attempting to withdraw $47,000 from your joint savings account and close out several investment accounts. Can you confirm this is you? Sarah's blood went cold. I'm not at any bank. I'm in my car on the freeway, and my husband is at work in Bellevue. There was a pause on the other end. Mrs. Martinez, I need you to listen very carefully. A woman claiming to be you is at our branch right now with a man claiming to be your husband. She has ID, she knows your account details, and she even knew the security questions. But you're telling me it's not you. It's absolutely not me. Sarah's heart was racing now. She glanced at the traffic around her, suddenly feeling exposed and vulnerable. How is this possible? How would someone have my information? I don't know, ma'am, but we need to act fast. She's in a private office right now completing paperwork. I called you because something felt off. She looks like you, but there were small inconsistencies. Can you get to the downtown branch immediately? Sarah looked at the wall of unmoving cars ahead of her. I'm stuck in traffic. It could be 30 minutes or more. Mrs. Martinez, in 30 minutes your life savings will be gone. Is there anyone closer who can get there? A family member? Friend? My husband, call my husband. David Martinez, his number is. I have it in the system. I'll call him right now. And Mrs. Martinez, call the police. This is identity theft, and whoever this is, they're very, very good. The line went dead. Sarah sat frozen for exactly 3 seconds. Then training from her years as an emergency room nurse kicked in. Crisis mode. Move fast. Think clearly. She pulled up David's number and called. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. He was probably in a meeting. David, call me immediately. Someone is at our bank pretending to be us and trying to steal our money. The bank is trying to reach you too. This is an emergency. Next, she called 911. The dispatcher listened to her story and said they'd send officers to the bank, but Sarah could hear the skepticism in her voice. Bank fraud cases were complicated, and proving identity theft in real time was nearly impossible. Sarah ended the call and stared at her phone, her mind racing. How was this possible? Her ID was in her purse. Her credit cards were all accounted for. She hadn't lost her wallet or had any suspicious activity on her accounts, at least none she'd noticed. Wait. Sarah's mind flashed back 3 weeks. The phishing email that had looked exactly like her bank's website. She'd almost clicked it but had gotten distracted by a work call. Then the strange text message asking her to verify her account information that she'd deleted. The robocall claiming there was suspicious activity on her credit card. She'd ignored all of them. She'd thought she was being careful. But what if David hadn't? Her phone rang. David. Sarah, what's happening? The bank just called me and they said, someone is impersonating us at the downtown branch right now, trying to withdraw everything. Where are you? I'm at the office in Bellevue. Sarah, this doesn't make sense. How would they have our information? I don't know, but we need to figure that out later. Can you get to the downtown Seattle branch? In this traffic, it'll take me 45 minutes minimum. That's too long. The bank said she's completing paperwork now. Sarah's voice cracked. David, that's our entire savings. That's the kids' college fund. I know. David's voice was strained. Okay, I'm leaving now. I'll drive like hell. You call whoever you need to call. And Sarah, check our accounts online. See what else might be compromised. He hung up and Sarah pulled up her banking app with shaking hands. She logged in. No problem. Her password still worked. She navigated to their savings account. Balance, $47,328. Still there, but for how much longer? She checked their credit cards. Everything looked normal. She checked their investment accounts. Also normal. Then she noticed something. In her email inbox, there was a message from the bank she'd received 3 hours ago. Your request to update contact information has been processed. Sarah hadn't requested any updates. She clicked the email. It looked legitimate, same logo, same formatting as all her other bank emails. It confirmed that her mailing address, phone number, and email address had been changed at her request. But the new information wasn't hers. The new email was Sarah Martinez, 1978 at protonmail.com. Her real email was. The new phone number had a 206 area code, but wasn't any number she recognized. The new address was in Shoreline, a suburb north of Seattle she'd only visited once. Someone had systematically replaced all her contact information with their own. Sarah's hands were shaking so badly she could barely type. She tried to log into her email to see if there were more clues, but her password didn't work. She tried the forgot password option, but the recovery email was the one she didn't recognize. They'd locked her out of her own email. The traffic finally started moving. Sarah merged lanes aggressively, heading toward the nearest exit that would take her downtown. She didn't care about traffic laws right now. She'd gladly take a speeding ticket if it meant stopping this. Her phone rang again. The bank. Mrs. Martinez, this is Jessica again. We've managed to delay the transaction by claiming our system is running slow for large withdrawals, but she's getting suspicious. Your husband still hasn't arrived. And the police just called to say they're 15 minutes out. I need you to help me here. I'm driving as fast as I can. What do you need? I need details that only you would know. Things I can ask her that she won't be able to answer. Personal things that wouldn't be in databases or social media. Sarah's mind raced. Okay, we got married at the Woodland Park Rose Garden on June 15, 2008. Our honeymoon was in Maui. We stayed at the Grand Wailea. That's a start, but she might know that from social media or public records. More personal. Something only you and your husband would know. Sarah thought frantically. Our daughter Emma, she has a birthmark on her left shoulder blade shaped like a heart. Our son Lucas broke his arm when he was 7 falling off his bike, and it healed slightly crooked. David has a tattoo on his ribs that says Semper Fi from his time in the Marines, but it's spelled wrong. The tattoo artist messed up and it says Semper Fidelis with an extra I. Perfect, that's perfect, Sarah could hear typing. I'm going to go ask her these questions. Stay on the line. Sarah gripped the steering wheel, her phone on speaker, her entire body tense. She could hear muffled background noise, the bank branch, people talking, phones ringing. Then Jessica's voice, distant, professional. Mrs. Martinez, I just need to verify a few more security details before we can process this withdrawal. Can you tell me where you and your husband got married? A pause, then a woman's voice eerily similar to Sarah's own voice. At a church in Seattle. Which church? I don't remember the exact name. It's been a long time. That's fine. Can you tell me about any distinguishing marks your children might have? Birthmarks, old injuries. Another pause, longer this time. Why are you asking me this? I've already provided ID and answered your security questions. Standard procedure for large withdrawals, ma'am. We just want to make sure everything is secure. My children are healthy. No distinguishing marks that I can think of. Jessica's voice returned to the phone, quiet. She doesn't know, and she's getting nervous. She keeps looking at the man with her. What does he look like? Sarah asked. Hispanic male, about 40, well-dressed. He looks enough like your husband's photo that we didn't question it initially. But now that we're looking closer, the resemblance is superficial. Different eye color, wrong build. Keep stalling, I'm 10 minutes away. I'll do my best. The line went quiet again, but Jessica didn't hang up. Sarah could hear the ambient sounds of the bank, keyboards clicking, conversations, someone laughing at a nearby desk. Then chaos. A man's voice, loud and aggressive. This is ridiculous. We've been here for 45 minutes. We've provided everything you asked for. Process the withdrawal now or I'm calling your manager. Jessica's voice still calm. Sir, I understand your frustration, but... No, no more buts. My wife and I are closing these accounts, and you're going to help us do it right now. Sarah heard something crash, maybe a chair. Then Jessica, her voice tighter, security. Drive faster, Sarah muttered to herself, weaving through traffic. She was 5 minutes away now, maybe less if she ran every yellow light. Her phone buzzed with a text from David. 3 minutes out. Police are behind me. The sounds from the bank were escalating. Sarah could hear Jessica trying to calm the situation, hear the fake Sarah and fake David becoming more aggressive, demanding their money, threatening lawsuits. Then a new voice, male, authoritative. I'm Officer Chen with Seattle PD. I need everyone to stay calm and show me some identification. What is this? The fake Sarah's voice, shrill now, the performance cracking. Why are the police here? Routine verification, ma'am. Just need to see your driver's license. I already showed them my license. Then showing it again shouldn't be a problem. A long pause, then the sound of movement, rapid footsteps. Stop, police. More chaos, shouting, something else crashing. Jessica's voice came back on the phone, breathless. Mrs. Martinez, they're running. They just bolted out the side entrance. Police are in pursuit. Sarah was 3 blocks away now. She could see the bank building. I'm almost there. She screeched into the bank's parking lot, abandoned her car in a no-parking zone, and ran inside. The branch was in chaos, bank employees standing around, customers looking confused, security guards talking urgently into radios. Jessica met her at the door. A young woman in her 20s with her bank badge hanging askew and her hair disheveled. Mrs. Martinez. That's me, the real me. Jessica actually laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. Thank God, I've never been so stressed in my life. Did they catch them? I don't know, the police chased them out, but Jessica was interrupted by her phone ringing. She answered, listened, then looked at Sarah with a mixture of relief and frustration. They got the man. The woman got away. She's fast, apparently. David burst through the door at that moment, out of breath, his tie askew. He spotted Sarah and pulled her into a crushing hug. Are you okay? I'm fine, our money. Secure, Jessica confirmed. They didn't get anything. But Mrs. Martinez, Mr. Martinez, we need to talk about how this happened and what we need to do to protect you going forward. The next 2 hours were a blur of police interviews, bank meetings, and increasingly disturbing revelations. The man they'd caught had a wallet full of fake IDs, not just David's identity, but 6 other people's. He wasn't talking, but his phone, which police had seized, told a damning story. Detective Morrison, the lead investigator, sat down with Sarah and David in the bank's conference room and laid out what they'd found. "You're victims of a sophisticated identity theft ring," she said, her expression grim. "They've been building your identities for at least 3 months, maybe longer. They have everything: social security numbers, birth dates, mother's maiden names, account numbers, passwords. They even had photos that looked like you." "How?" Sarah demanded. "We're careful. We don't click suspicious links. We have strong passwords." Detective Morrison pulled up photos on her tablet. "Do you recognize this man?" It was a photo from what looked like a security camera. A technician in a blue uniform standing at someone's door, holding a tablet. "No," Sarah and David said simultaneously. "This was taken at your house 6 weeks ago. According to his work order, which was fake, he was there to upgrade your internet router. Did you have someone come to upgrade your internet?" Sarah's blood ran cold. "Yes, Comcast sent someone. He was there for about an hour. He said he was installing a new modem with better security." "Comcast didn't send anyone. You let a sophisticated identity thief into your home. He didn't just upgrade your router. He installed a device that captured every keystroke on every device connected to your home network. Every password, every bank login, every email, everything." David looked like he might be sick. "For 6 weeks, he's been watching everything we do." "Not just watching, copying. He created parallel accounts using your information. He changed your bank contact information gradually so you wouldn't notice. He created email addresses that were one character off from yours and had your actual bank send information there. He even practiced your signatures. We found dozens of practice sheets in his car." "But the woman," Sarah said, "the woman who looked like me, how do you fake that?" Detective Morrison pulled up another photo. "Meet Melissa Cordero. She's a professional scam artist with a record going back 15 years. She's also, unfortunately, a dead ringer for you, Mrs. Martinez. Same height, same build, same general features. With the right hair and makeup and a bank employee who's only seen your driver's license photo. Close enough." Sarah stared at the photo. The woman did look like her. Not identical, but similar enough that in a high-stress situation, it would be easy to miss the differences. "Where is she now?" "We don't know. She's in the wind, but we'll find her. She left DNA at the scene and we have her on multiple security cameras. She won't get far." "What about our accounts?" David asked. "Our identities, what do we do now?" Detective Morrison's expression softened slightly. "It's going to be a process. You need to freeze your credit with all 3 bureaus immediately. Change every password, and I mean every password. Bank accounts, email, social media, everything. Get new credit cards, new debit cards. You might even want to consider changing banks entirely. Close your old email addresses and create new ones. And you need to file an identity theft report with the FTC." "This is going to take months," Sarah said weakly. "Yes, but you're lucky. We stopped them before they got your money. Most victims aren't this fortunate." Over the next several days, the full scope of the attack became clear. The identity thieves hadn't just targeted Sarah and David's bank accounts. They'd opened credit cards in their names, 5 of them, with a combined limit of $80,000. They'd taken out a personal loan for $25,000. They'd filed a fraudulent tax return claiming a massive refund. They'd even attempted to remortgage the Martinez's house. All of it had been carefully orchestrated over months, with each step designed to not trigger immediate alarms. Small credit inquiries that looked like normal activity, address changes that seemed routine, email redirects that were subtle enough to miss. If Jessica at the bank hadn't noticed the small inconsistencies, if she hadn't trusted her gut that something was wrong, the thieves would have succeeded. Sarah and David spent every evening for 2 weeks dismantling the damage. They called every credit bureau, every bank, every institution that had been touched by the fraud. They filed reports, provided evidence, proved their identities over and over again. Emma and Lucas, their teenage kids, were confused and scared. "How did this happen to you guys?" Lucas asked one night. "You're always so careful about this stuff." "We thought we were careful," David said. "But these people were professionals. They knew exactly how to exploit the one moment we let our guard down." Emma, ever practical, asked, "What about our identities? Did they steal ours too?" It was a question that had been keeping Sarah up at night. Detective Morrison had said the thieves primarily targeted adults with established credit and significant assets. But if they had access to everything in the Martinez household? Sarah immediately pulled credit reports for both kids. Clean, nothing suspicious. But she signed them both up for credit monitoring anyway, and had a long talk with them about digital security, about never trusting unexpected visits or calls, about the importance of verifying everything. 2 weeks after the attempted theft, Detective Morrison called with news. "We caught Melissa Cordero. She was attempting the same scam in Portland, using a different victim's identity. She made the mistake of going to a bank where the manager had seen our alert." "Is she talking?" Sarah asked. "She is now. She's giving up everyone in the operation in exchange for a reduced sentence. It's a big ring, Mrs. Martinez. Dozens of victims across Washington and Oregon. Your case is actually going to help us crack the whole thing open." "What about the money they stole from other people? The credit cards they opened in our name?" "The charges will be reversed. The credit cards will be closed and marked as fraudulent. Your credit reports will be cleaned. It'll take time, but you won't be liable for any of it." "Why us?" Sarah asked the question that had been haunting her. "Why did they pick us?" "You fit a profile," Detective Morrison said. "Middle-class family, good credit, significant assets, but not so wealthy that you have sophisticated security. You're active on social media, which gave them personal information to use. And you're trusting. When that fake technician showed up, you let him in. That's not a criticism," she added quickly. "That's normal. Most people would do the same, but it's what they count on." After the call ended, Sarah sat in her kitchen, looking around at the home she'd thought was safe. The home where someone had installed a device to spy on them for weeks. The home where every keystroke had been captured, every private conversation potentially overheard. It felt violated, unsafe. David found her there an hour later, staring at nothing. "We need to talk," he said gently. "About what?" "About what we do now, how we move forward from this." Sarah looked at him. "How do we trust anything again? How do we know we're safe?" "We don't," David said honestly. "We can't know we're completely safe, but we can be smarter. We can be more vigilant. We can learn from this and make sure it never happens again." "I keep thinking about what would have happened if Jessica hadn't called. If she just processed the withdrawal. We would have lost everything, and we might not have even known until it was too late. But she did call, and we didn't lose everything. We were lucky, Sarah. We got a guardian angel in the form of a sharp-eyed bank employee who trusted her instincts." Sarah managed a small smile. "We should send her a gift." "Already ordered. Biggest fruit basket they sell." They sat together in silence for a while. Then Sarah said, "I want to do something." "What?" "I want to help other people avoid this. We can't be the only ones who have been targeted, and most people don't have a Jessica to save them." Over the next 6 months, Sarah became something she never expected to be, an advocate for identity theft victims. She started speaking at community centers, libraries, senior homes, anywhere people would listen. She told her story, explained the warning signs, taught people how to protect themselves. She partnered with local law enforcement to create educational materials. She worked with the bank to develop better training for employees on spotting identity fraud. She even testified before the state legislature about the need for stronger identity theft protections. David supported her fully, even joining her for some presentations to give the perspective of how the theft had affected their entire family. Emma and Lucas became surprisingly involved too. Lucas, who was into computer science, created a simple app that helped people track their credit reports and monitor for suspicious activity. Emma started a social media campaign about digital security that went semi-viral among her peers. "I guess something good came out of this nightmare," David said one evening after a particularly well-attended presentation. "I wouldn't call it good," Sarah corrected, "but meaningful maybe. We turned a terrible experience into something that might help others." Detective Morrison kept them updated on the case. The identity theft ring was enormous, over 200 victims across 5 states, with estimated losses exceeding $12 million. Thanks to Melissa Cordero's testimony and the evidence from the fake technicians' devices, they'd arrested 17 people. The mastermind, they discovered, was a former IT security consultant who'd used his knowledge of systems and vulnerabilities to build an empire of stolen identities. He was sentenced to 23 years in federal prison. Melissa Cordero got 8 years with a deal. The fake technician, whose real name was Carlos Rodriguez, got 15 years. Sarah and David attended the sentencing hearings, wanting to see justice done. When Carlos was led away in handcuffs, he looked at Sarah and mouthed something that looked like "I'm sorry." Sarah didn't acknowledge it. Sorry didn't undo the months of stress, the violated feeling, the countless hours spent rebuilding their financial lives. But she didn't wish him harm either. She just wanted him away from other potential victims. A year after that terrifying phone call, Sarah and David sat in their living room with their kids, doing something that had become a monthly ritual, checking their credit reports. Everything was clean, no suspicious inquiries, no fraudulent accounts, no signs of compromise. "We're clear," Emma announced, closing her laptop. "Again." "Good," Sarah said, "but we keep checking, we always keep checking." "Mom, I think we learned that lesson," Lucas said with a slight eye roll. "You've only told us about 1,000 times." "And I'll tell you 1,000 more," Sarah said firmly, "because this isn't something you can be too careful about." Her phone rang. She glanced at it. Jessica from the bank. "Hey, Jessica," Sarah answered warmly. They'd become friends over the past year, bonding over the shared trauma of that day. "Hi, Sarah. I'm calling because I wanted to give you a heads up. Remember how you said you wanted to do more to help identity theft victims?" "Of course." "Well, my bank is launching a new program, a victim support initiative to help people who have been targeted by identity theft. We're looking for someone to run it, someone who understands the experience firsthand and has a passion for helping others. I immediately thought of you." Sarah sat up straight. "Are you serious?" "Completely. It would be a full-time position with benefits. You develop educational programs, work with victims, liaise with law enforcement, basically everything you've been doing volunteer but officially and with resources. Would you be interested?" Sarah looked at David, who'd obviously overheard and was nodding enthusiastically. "Jessica, I would be very interested." "Great, I'll have our HR department reach out to set up an interview, but between us, the job is yours if you want it. You're exactly what we need." After they hung up, Emma grinned at her mother. "So you're going to be a professional good guy now?" "I guess I am." "That's pretty cool, Mom, turning something bad into something good." Lucas nodded agreement. "Yeah, it's like you took the worst day of your life and made it matter." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. She'd spent so much of the past year feeling angry, violated, and helpless. But her kids were right. She had taken something terrible and found a way to make it meaningful. "You know what the strangest part is," Sarah said. "If this hadn't happened, if I hadn't answered that phone call, if Jessica hadn't trusted her instincts, if everything hadn't gone exactly the way it did, I never would have found this purpose. I would still be working at the hospital, living my normal life, completely unaware of how vulnerable we all are." "So you're glad it happened," David asked carefully. No, I wouldn't go that far, but I'm glad about where it led. I'm glad I can help people now. I'm glad we survived it and came out stronger. David pulled her close. We did more than survive. We turned it into something bigger than ourselves. That's not just surviving, that's winning. 2 months later, Sarah started her new job as Director of Identity Theft Victim Services at Pacific Northwest Bank. Her first day, she walked into an office with her name on the door and a window overlooking downtown Seattle. On her desk was a photo of her family, a plant from Jessica, and a framed copy of the first thank you letter she'd received from someone she'd helped through an identity theft case. Dear Mrs. Martinez, I don't know how to thank you for your help. When my identity was stolen, I felt so alone and scared. But you showed me that I wasn't alone, that people do care, and that there's a way through this nightmare. Because of you, I didn't give up. Thank you for turning your pain into purpose. You saved me. Sarah read the letter every morning before starting work. It reminded her why she was there, why this mattered. Her first major project was creating a rapid response team for identity theft cases, a group of specially trained employees who could act within minutes when fraud was detected, just like Jessica had done for her. Her second project was a community education program that would reach thousands of people across Washington state, teaching them how to protect themselves. Her third project was working with legislators to close the loopholes that had allowed her identity to be stolen in the first place. The work was hard, sometimes frustrating, often heartbreaking, but it was also deeply meaningful. Every person she helped was another person who wouldn't have to go through what she'd gone through, at least not alone. Every system she improved was another barrier between criminals and innocent victims. Every educational program she created was another opportunity to turn fear into knowledge and knowledge into power. One afternoon, about 6 months into her new role, Sarah was leaving work when she saw a woman sitting in the bank lobby, crying softly. The woman looked lost, overwhelmed, scared. Sarah recognized that look. She'd worn it herself a year and a half ago. She sat down next to the woman. "Hi, I'm Sarah, can I help?" The woman looked up, tears streaming down her face. "Someone stole my identity. They took everything. I don't know what to do." Sarah took her hand. "I know exactly how you feel, and I promise you you're going to be okay. Let me help you." As she guided the woman to her office, Sarah thought about that phone call in her car, the call that had changed everything. The call that had led her here to this moment, to this opportunity to help someone else through their darkest moment. She'd answered a call and discovered her husband was at a bank with her doppelgänger. But in answering that call, she'd also discovered her purpose. And that, Sarah thought, was worth everything she'd been through.